The historical mindful movement will share historical information that happened on the same date and month from year to year. This is so that the history we learn can make us appreciate the past and trigger us to do better in the future. Historical mindful movement begs not to click the like and subscribe buttons on this channel. In this edition, we will learn about the history that occurred on March 20th from year to year. On March 20, 1602, the Vereenigde Oostindische Compagnie or VOC was founded. The VOC is a pioneer of multinational companies in the world formed by the Netherlands. The formation of the VOC was initiated by Johan van Oldenbarnevelt. In the early 1600s, the VOC issued bonds and stocks widely to the general public. This made the VOC the first legally registered public company in the world. The Dutch government gave him a trade monopoly in the Asian to prevent losses due to trade competition with the Portuguese and Spanish, who were united in controlling trade in the Asian. After running for 197 years, the VOC was finally dissolved on December 31, 1799 with a debt of 136,700,000 guilders. The bankruptcy of the VOC was caused by the cost of war, intense trade competition, corrupt practices and high employee salaries. On March 20, 1878, Julius Robert von Mayer died at the age of 63. He is a doctor and physicist who is known as the inventor of the Mayer's reagent. Mayer's reagent is the first reagent used to detect alkaloids in natural products. Mayer's reagent, or potassium chloruric iodide, is prepared by dissolving a mixture of 1.36 gram mercuric chloride and 5 grams potassium iodide in 100 milliliters water. This solution produces a cream-colored precipitate. Mayer is also known to be the first to propose the law of conservation of energy. Mayer discovered this law while in Indonesia in 1840. At that time Mayer worked as a doctor on a Dutch sailing ship for the journey from Batavia to Surabaya. When anchored from Batavia, Mayer noticed a difference in the brightness of the blood color in the arteries and veins belonging to the crew of the ship he was traveling with. The difference in color is due to differences in oxygen levels in the blood. Blood from arteries rich in oxygen is lighter in color than blood from veins. Then Mayer began to observe that the veins of Europeans were darker than those of Indonesians. During his trip to Surabaya, Mayer started comparing the air temperatures in Europe and Indonesia. Then Mayer discovered that when humans are in warmer temperatures, humans need less oxygen to warm their bodies. Upon arrival in the city of Surabaya, Mayer linked the two phenomena. From there, then came the law on energy conservation. This is contained in a letter he wrote to the Paris Academy of Sciences, namely in 1840, in Surabaya, I discovered the energy conservation set. 1 year later, Mayer made the famous statement about energy conservation, namely energy cannot be created, or destroyed. The expression is similar to the first law of thermodynamics, which reads energy can change from one form to another, but cannot be created, or destroyed. To mark the history of Mayer's discovery in Surabaya, George Kinnan as representatives of the German embassy in Indonesia and Professor Dr. Richard Schrenk as historians who have researched Mayer's findings, also inaugurated the Julius Robert von Mayer plaque at Wisma German in Surabaya. The controversy about the discoverers of the first law of the conservation of energy is not only credited to Julius Robert von Mayer, but also to James Prescott Joule and Hermann Ludwig Ferdinand von Helmholtz. In the end, the Royal Society awarded the Copley Medal to the three of them who had worked, independently of each other, on the law of conservation of energy in 1870 for James Prescott Joule, in 1871 for Julius Robert von Mayer, and in 1873 for Hermann Ludwig Ferdinand von Helmholtz. On March 20, 1915, Albert Einstein published his general theory of relativity, which unified Einstein's previous theory with special relativity theory with Newton's law of gravity. This theory places gravity not as a force, but rather as a manifestation of the curvature of space and time. This theory predicts the existence of a black hole region, whose space and time is completely undistorted, not even light can escape from it. On March 20, 1922, USS Langley was commissioned as the first United States Navy aircraft carrier. This is the first turbo-electric-powered United States Navy ship. The name Langley is taken from the name Samuel Pierpont Langley. He is a pioneer of American aviation. This ship is capable of carrying 36 aircraft, at a speed of 10 knots is equivalent to 19 kilometers per hour. On February 27, 1942, this ship was deliberately sunk off the coast of Java by its own crew, after being severely damaged by an attack by 9 Japanese twin-engine bombers. On March 20, 1940, Alfred Ploetz died at the age of 79. He is a doctor, biologist and eugenicist who introduced the term racial hygiene in 1895 in his book entitled Groundline of Racial Hygiene. Racial hygiene played a key role in the Holocaust program, namely Germany's efforts to rid Europe of Jews, Romani, Poles, Serbs, blacks, mixed race and people with physical or intellectual disabilities. Children with disabilities are euthanized at birth, while every young person has to undergo a screening at puberty to determine whether they will be allowed to marry and have children. The racial hygiene theory leads to a mass sterilization program for anyone with a genetically inherited disease. Estimates of the number of citizens sterilized by Nazi Germany ranged from 350,000 to 400,000 people. It is one of the largest medical industries in the world. On March 20, 1956, Tunisia gained independence from France under the leadership of Habib Bourguiba, who declared Tunisia a republican state 1 year later. This makes Tunisia the only democracy in the Arabic world. Tunisia is the northernmost country on the African continent. In this country there is also the northernmost point of the African continent, namely Ras Ben Saka, located on Cape Angela. With an area of 163,610 square kilometers, making Tunisia the smallest country in North Africa. The city of Kairouan in Tunisia is the fourth most important city in the Islamic world after Mecca, Medina and Jerusalem. Due to its historical significance, this city is included in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tunisia is also famous for the city of Sidi Bou Said, which is a scenic spot on a hill overlooking the open sea. The uniqueness of this city lies in the color of the buildings, which are dominated by blue and white. On March 20, 1983, Ivan Matveyevich Vinogradov died at the age of 91. He is a mathematician known for Vinogradov's theorem in analytic number theory. Vinogradov's theorem is used to estimate quantities over prime numbers. It is a reduction from a complicated number to a smaller number which is simplified. For this achievement, Vinogradov was awarded the Stalin Award in 1941. On March 20, 1985, Libby Riddles became the first woman to win the 1,049 miles, which is equivalent to 1,680, 8.2 kilometers Iditarod Trail sled dog race covered in 18 days, 20 minutes, 17 seconds. Libby Riddles' win at the race was named a Hall of Fame moment in the Alaska Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. She wrote 3 books about his experiences, namely, Number 1. The Alaska A-Cross Race in 1988. Number 2. Danger, the Dog Yard Cat in 1989. Number 3. Storm Run, the story of the first woman to win the Iditarod sled dog race in 1996. The Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race is a long-distance dog sled race in Alaska from the city of Anchorage to Nome. This race demands extraordinary endurance from both the racer side and from the 14 dogs. They have to weather snowstorms with temperatures reaching -100 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to -73 degrees Celsius. On March 20, 1987, the Food and Drug Administration approved azidotimidine as an anti-AIDS drug. This makes azidotimidine, also known as zidovudin, the first HIV treatment therapy approved by the United States government. Azidotimidine or zidovudin took 25 months to prove that zidovudine was active against HIV in the laboratory to be approved for widespread use. This is the shortest time in the history of drug development. This success could not be separated from the role of the pharmaceutical company Burroughs Wellcome, which filed a patent for azidotimidine in 1985. The US patent for azidotimidine for the treatment of AIDS was granted in February 1988. This drug was then sold under the trade name Retrovir. Azidotimidine works by inhibiting the reverse transcriptase enzyme that HIV uses to synthesize DNA, thereby preventing viral DNA from forming. Azidotimidine can not only be used to prevent 10 to 15% of mother-to-child HIV transmission during the birth process, but can also be used as a post-exposure prophylactic therapy in combination with lamivudine. This prophylactic therapy can reduce the risk of HIV infection after exposure to the virus, such as accidentally sticking a needle that has been used for HIV-infected patients. On March 20, 1993, Polykarp Kusch died at the age of 82. He is a physicist known for his accurate determination of measuring the magnetic moment of electrons. Polykarp Kusch was able to prove that the magnetic moment of an electron is greater than its theoretical value. This has led to reconsideration and innovation in quantum electrodynamics. For this achievement, Polykarp Kusch was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1955 along with another physicist, namely Willis Eugene Lamb, who won for his work on the hydrogen spectrum. On March 20, 1999, Legoland opened in Carlsbad, California, USA. This is the first Legoland to open outside Europe. Legoland is a series of theme parks with the theme of millions of Lego bricks. Lego is a kind of game tool for small plastic bricks which is famous in the world. These bricks can be arranged on each other to resemble any model, such as cars, trains, ships, etc. On March 20, 2015, the solar eclipse, Supermoon and Equinox occurred on the same day. Usually the March equinox falls on the 20th or 21st. This marks the point of spring in the northern hemisphere and the point of fall in the southern hemisphere. On March 20, 2017, David Rockefeller died at the age of 101. He is a billionaire, philanthropist and banker who serves as chairman and chief executive of Chase Manhattan Corporation. He is the oldest member of the third generation of the Rockefeller family. He is well known for his extensive political and foreign connections, so that he has met many foreign leaders. Throughout his life, he received many awards, some of which are U.S. Legion of Merit in 1945 and Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1998.